Nobody warned me about marrying a man with an ex-wife and a baby mama. But let's talk about it. See, nobody talks about the part of marriage where you love your husband, but you also have to learn how to live with the woman who existed before you. And not like physically live, but live with the fact that she's going to be there. The ex-wife, the baby mama, the woman who shares children with your husband. And let me tell you something, that can test a wife in places she didn't even know existed. Because sometimes you're not jealous of the woman, you're exhausted by the access. You're trying to build a marriage, but there's a whole history attached to the man you married. And sometimes you're sitting there thinking, Lord, why does something that happened before me still has the power to affect my marriage today? And the Bible actually gives us a picture of this. Sarah, Abraham, and Hagar. Genesis 16 tells us that Sarah gave Hagar to Abraham, and Hagar conceived Ishmael. But once Hagar became pregnant, the relationship between these women became complicated. Sarah became distressed. Hagar started looking at Sarah differently. And Abraham was caught in the middle. And here's what I want women to understand. You cannot enter into a situation with history and pretend that there is no history. If your husband has children with another woman, there will be moments where their past intersects with your present. There are birthdays, phone calls, emergencies, after school, there's activities. And sometimes things you didn't even know existed until you became the wife. And that's when your heart gets tested. Because now you have to learn the difference between boundaries and insecurity. You'll have to learn the difference between, I don't want this woman disrespecting my marriage, and I don't want this woman in my husband's life at all. There's a difference. Because if there are children involved, she will always be connected to his life in some capacity. But that does not mean she gets to have access to your marriage. That's where your husband has responsibility. Because a wife should never have to spend her marriage fighting another woman for territory her husband should have already protected. Your husband needs boundaries too. And ladies, don't become Sarah in the wrong way. Don't allow the pain to allow you to treat a child like the evidence of another woman's existence. The child didn't create the situation. The child shouldn't have to pay for the adult's decisions. And husbands, you have responsibilities too, because sometimes men will say, that's just my baby mama. Yeah, but you're married now. So you can't keep operating like you're single and expecting your wife to feel secure. And wives, you cannot punish your husband for a life that happened before you. Because at some point you're gonna have to ask yourself, am I gonna compete with his past? Or am I gonna build with the man standing in front of me? Because you can't change what happened before you, but you can establish what happens with you. Here's the part no one likes to talk about. Sometimes the real battle isn't between the wife and the ex. Sometimes the real battle is between the husband's lack of boundaries and the wife's growing resentment. Because when a husband does not set clear boundaries with his baby mama or his ex-wife, the current wife is gonna start feeling like she's fighting for a position that she should already have. And then resentment starts